I am going to do IRONMAN Tulsa.
Tulsa, Oklahoma?
The Sooner State.
Right, it's Tuesday. I've just done a run session. It's actually my 4th day on the trot running, which I think is the first time I've done that in a long time. I've just done 5 by a mile, although it's 5 by 6 minutes. It's pretty much the same thing for me as I was running at 6 minutes per mile pace, funnily enough. I've done it on the treadmill. Some of that is due to logistical reasons with having to stay at home and look after Bryn while Amy's in the office today. But I've been doing a lot of treadmill running, or a lot of my intervals on the treadmill, to really control it. So that session's given me a lot of confidence. I'm gonna go for the Reading half marathon, I think. Sorry, Lewis. The Firefighters Duathlon was moved to next Sunday, and I was in the 2 minds whether to do the Reading half marathon or the duathlon. I'm preparing for London. I'm preparing for Tulsa. Running is my weakest, or the discipline I've not actually ever executed relative to my ability, I believe. I think a little PB could be on the cards. I'll say it now, something in the 116, 117 mark would be pretty good. Right, it's Thursday morning. Got a very big day today, training wise. Got a 4K swim, strength swim, so I haven't seen the set yet, but it's predominantly pool paddles, etc., as you'd expect. I've got a 45-minute easy run at lunchtime, and I've got a big bike session that's almost 2 hours in the evening, 4 by 15 minutes at sort of sweet spot, just under FTP, sort of threshold heat, whichever lingo you like to use. And then I've got a massage at 8 o'clock tonight. So yeah, big day, let's get it done. All right, so swim done, 4K, main set, 5 times, 400 meters, pulling paddles with 4 by 50, nice and slow, really lengthening that stroke out in between. Done, 1 down. Lunchtime, 45-minute run. I would call it easy / aerobic, but for reference, average heart rate 131. For me, my threshold is close to 170 and comes out just under 5 minutes per kilometre. As easy as I can. Got a big bike session later. 3rd session of the day. I am Stevie Ruggling. So 1 hour 50 session on the bike with 4 by 15 minutes at about 290 watts, which is sub threshold. So not an easy session, but also shouldn't be ridiculously hard. So I'm about to head out on a long run, which will be about 2 hours 20 in total, and I'll probably be about 20 miles, which is about between 32 and 33k if I hit all the paces, etc. Before I leave, I just wanted to talk about my strategy for fueling. I say this to my athletes, and obviously it's a hot topic and a key topic for long sessions, whether it's swim, bike or run. But the run one tends to get neglected. So this is my tactic. I have a 500ml flask that's got 1,000 milligrams of sodium in. I can hold it. I'll probably drink most of it within the first hour, and then once I've drunk it, I can fold up the flask and put it in my tights or in my pocket, so I'm not carrying it. I'm gonna take a 90-gram gel, and I'll probably start taking some of this around 30 minutes in, so sort of 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. I'll probably in those intervals do it in thirds and have that. That's all I'll take fuel wise during the run. But what I will do to sort of limit carrying stuff is I'll have a 30-gram caffeine gel before I leave, as in a couple of minutes, and 2 30-gram chews. So I'll have 60 grams of carbs before I leave, 90 grams during. That's 150, which is a little on the low side. But I have eaten a bowl of porridge with a banana, peanut butter, blueberries and honey about 45 minutes ago, which will be about an hour before I start running. And then as soon as I get back, I'll have protein shake and, refuel. Let's go get it done. Oh, 20 miles, or just over 20 miles done. Big session before London. Had a bit of a change of plans, as I was supposed to be pacing at the Thames Riverside 20 tomorrow. I'm now going to have the privilege of riding the lead bike, and hopefully the leader's Jackie Schofield. If he pulls his finger out and runs as fast as he tells everyone he's going to. So that meant I had to do my long run today, which it does work out a little bit better. I mean, you've got to do a specific run to me. Ran with a guy called Alex, who I've been introduced to recently, first run together. Both sort of looking to run a similar time in London, so that was really good. And I think I'm going to call that session of the week. I did believe my run earlier in the week might have been session of the week, but this is way more exciting, I think. So I'm going to delve into this. I'll try and do a record screen and talk through it if the technology allows it. So this is the session of the week. It's my long run. Obviously this is provided by Billy, my coach. You can see here it's sort of built in Training Peaks, and he's given me the instructions to run the 12s at between 4 to 4:05 minutes per kilometre, and the 2s at 3 to 3:55 per kilometre. So let's jump in to analyse the session. A 10-minute or so warm up, 5 by 30 seconds, sort of high cadence, sort of efforts running just to get the legs turning over. That's this bit up here, and then we're straight into it. So we've got 3 lots of 12 minutes with 3 minutes recovery, so they're blocks of 15 minutes, although after the third one we've got a slightly longer recovery, which is a total of 8 minutes, and the same after the second lot. So the first one, bang on pace, 4:05, average heart rate 147. To give you some perspective on that, my marathon heart rate when I did a marathon on its own was about 165, and my sort of tempo running is high 150s. We're well below sort of tempo, nowhere near what I might run my marathon at. I've then got 3 minutes recovery, straight into another 12 minutes. Heart rate started to come up a little bit here, similar pace. For those that lived in the UK, Saturday the 25th of March was a very windy one, and for all 3 of the first 3 efforts and most of the 4th one, we were running into said wind. So it's working pretty hard to run that pace. Next one, again 4:02, similar heart rate, so it's sort of stabilised now in the high 150s. It's a bit higher than I thought it might be, but as I say, the wind played a big factor to this. After this third rep, I had half of my 90-gram gel, so I didn't quite split it into 3 as I said, but I had half of it there. Then had our long 8-minute recovery. We did turn, and this one was run with and into wind a bit. Now the green line, it goes a bit funky here, and it always seems to on this Luton Harpenden track. There's some sewage works there and a rail line, and the GPS seems to go all over the place. So this one was pretty much run to effort, because it didn't really give me an accurate pace at any point. 1 minute it's telling me I'm running sort of 6 minutes miles, 3:45s. Next minute it's telling me I'm running 8 minute per 19 per kilometre. But over that 12 minutes, another 4:04, so bang on. Okay, penultimate one. This is where the pace started to really pick up a little bit, and this was driven was driven more by the fact that we finally had the wind behind us. So they've dropped the pace down to 3:52 per K. This is way more what I was kind of expecting to come out at. But what's interesting is you can see that my heart rate doesn't really change. It's only a couple of beats higher, and that's mainly because of the wind, but I'm obviously running almost 10 seconds a kilometre quicker. And then the last rep, nice strong one to finish, was away from the sort of GPS errors that you get in the middle section. Back at 3:53 and a 160 heart rate, so exactly the same heart rate as the penultimate one, similar pace, and we're nice and comfortable there. We then have our 8-minute recovery, and we're straight into 4 lots of 2s. Now I was running with a guy called Alex, and I sort of said to him that the purpose of these 2s at the end, from my perspective, I'd have to confirm with Billy. Again, we sort of make it up as I go along a little bit, but it's only a slight lift in intensity, but at the end of a run, so we'd almost clocked 30k by this point. If you can lift the intensity just for 8 minutes in total, 4 lots of 2, it really tests not necessarily your pacing or something like that, but your fueling. So have you fueled the session properly? You're not asking too much more of yourself than you did throughout the session, but it just gives you that confidence. If you are able to lift the intensity, finish the session strong, you've obviously fueled it correctly as well as paced it correctly for the entire session. But for me, I think of it as a fueling thing. Like if I feel rubbish on these twos, then I clearly haven't eaten enough or drank enough. So we managed to lift the pace on the twos, drop down to 3:46. Now that's a bit quicker than what Billy would have wanted, but as I'd run the last two 12s at low 350, in my head I needed to run the twos to prove as well that I'd done the session well, slightly quicker. So these were also in to win the first three, so 3:46, 3:46, 3:44, so really consistent. And then the last one was with wind, and you can kind of see that where my heart rate was higher on the third one, and it was lower just on the last one, which was 3:31. But I felt really strong. I put that down to the fueling, paced it well, kept my heart rate where it needs to be for the entire session. Didn't panic too much in terms of running into wind. I would have liked to have run the 12s a bit quicker, like sub 4 minute Ks or be closer, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, a really good session, 34.5K overall, 2 hours 23 on my feet, ready for London. Right, I'm going to pretty much wrap the video up there. I've got lots of footage from the Thames Riverside 20. It was a lot of fun being the lead cyclist and seeing lots of familiar faces. I'm going to try and mash it together into a separate video. I will quickly cover my highs and lows for the week. My high is that training's sort of going quite well. I have been pretty good at getting back on track with regards to sleeping and doing the other things on my tick list that were on Instagram with regards to having a massage, having my anti-inflammatory sort of turmeric shots every day. I'm also really happy with where my run's at. So I kind of covered it in obviously the marathon pace session, but I also had a really good run session on Tuesday after 4 days of running on the trot. So really happy with where my run's going, and I'm going to do a half marathon next weekend. So that's good. That's the sort of high of training at the moment. The low is effectively not getting a long ride in this weekend on my bike. It was always going to be a challenge when I went swap things round with regards to not running today, which is no one's fault in particular. I did get up super early this morning, sacrificed a bit of sleep to try and get a long ride in pre going down to the event, and I did an extra hour, or did an hour on the turbo last night to sort of bolster my aerobic volume for the week. But effectively, with the weather being so piss poor, it just wasn't possible. It wasn't worth getting soaking wet through and then doing the lead bike roll and potentially getting ill or whatever. And I've also come home and I was falling asleep in the car on the way home driving. So good sign to kind of knock it on the head. That is going to have to become my real focus. I've got an easier week coming up so that I can give this half marathon a really good crack. I'm quite excited by it. Going to wear my new shoes. Got a bit of a swim test on Tuesday, but apart from that, I'm going to focus on making sure I get the bike volume in. The following weekend is a bank holiday. It's a 4-day weekend, perfect opportunity to really get some at least 3 of those 4 days, get out on the bike. Hopefully I've got a time trial on one of those days, a longer time trial, and that's before the London Marathon. So really conscious I need to get the bike volume in a little bit. I think my biking's in a good place, but you just need to get a few 4 or 5 hour rides in, hopefully with a few brick runs off them, to really go into Tulsa fully prepared. So that's it. Thanks again to Amy for helping me mash the video together. Thank you for anyone who's made it this long, or for anyone who's watched any parts of the video. Really appreciate it. And in the words of Katie Lysons,
Is that Triathlon Ross from YouTube?
it is.
Like and subscribe.